Maintenance includes a safety check, takedown, cleaning, inspection and lubrication, assembly, and a function check. A safety check is per the usual. Remove the magazine, lock the slide to the rear using the slide lock and release lever, and ensure that the pistol is empty and safe. Since you have the slide lock back to the rear, press the slide lock and release lever down and slowly release the slide into battery. Retract the slide approximately 3/16 of an inch until the takedown pin aligns with the cutout on the slide. Pry loose the takedown pin using a non-marring armorer's tool or other flat blunt tool. You may also be able to use a fingernail to pry it loose. Remove the takedown pin completely. Move the slide assembly forward and separate it from the grip frame. Compress the recoil spring assembly slightly to disengage it from its seat against the barrel lug and remove it completely. Remove the barrel. It will be necessary to move the barrel forward slightly and then up and back to extract it from the slide. At this point, as has become my usual, I am simply going to steer you in the direction of the instruction manual, as it contains everything you need to know about cleaning, inspection, and lubrication, both for the pistol and magazines. You can also visit Ruger.com/tech-tips after this review, of course. Start the assembly with the slide held upside down. Replace the barrel and push it rearward into its locked position. Place the recoil spring assembly into position. The rear end of the guide rod seats against the barrel lug. Note that when replacing the recoil spring assembly, be sure that the steel flange on the recoil spring assembly is oriented toward the back of the pistol. We interrupt this program for an important maintenance announcement. There could be some confusion when considering which end of the guide rod assembly to insert into the front of the slide. The hollow end of the guide rod has a steel flange, whereas the base of the guide rod is solid. While the instruction in the owner's manual states that the steel flange must be to the rear of the pistol, this is incorrect. The hollow end of the guide rod must face forward and would be inserted into the front of the slide. The steel flange actually seats against the inside of the slide. The base of the guide rod, the part that swivels, seats into the groove at the locking block of the barrel. The steel flange forces the recoil spring to compress while the guide rod remains into place. You will now be returned to the regularly scheduled program. Assemble the slide to the frame. Position the slide so that the takedown pinhole aligns with the cutout in the slide. Place the pin side of the takedown pin in the recess between the slide and the grip frame. The flat on the bottom of the head of the takedown pin should be facing the bottom of the pistol. Push the takedown pin inwards until the head is flush with the side of the grip frame. It may be necessary to adjust the slide very slightly back and forth to align the takedown pin and fully seat it flush against the grip frame. Next is something that I recommend doing and what I do it with. I use several snap caps installed into a magazine to perform a function check. Snap caps provides a means to protect the firing pin and check for extraction, ejection, and the slide locking back on the last round. With the slide to the rear, or not, install a magazine with snap caps. Cycle the slide to chamber the first snap cap. Move the manual safety to the safe position and attempt to pull the trigger. The trigger should move rearward slightly and then stop. The hammer should not fall. Move the manual safety to the fire position. Attempt to pull the trigger with the trigger safety lever not pressed. The hammer should not fall. Pull the trigger while also pressing the trigger safety lever. The hammer should fall. Hold the trigger to the rear. With the trigger held to the rear, cycle the slide to reset the hammer. Slowly release the trigger. The trigger should move forward and you will hear and feel the trigger reset. The hammer should not fall. The first snap cap should be extracted and ejected. Cycle the slide, pull the trigger, and repeat until the last snap cap is ejected. The slide should lock back on the empty magazine.